Ahoy! Hyris has pulled a bit of a sneaky on us and has almost silently released the bonus update part 1 notes for the mid-season patch. Now, this is not the only bonus update we received. There will be a second one. We'll talk about that in the future. But for now, we're getting a first in-between step, and that's because this patch cycle is longer than usual. It's 6 weeks instead of 4, I think. So therefore, they have this in-between mini patch that I guess didn't warrant a show or anything around it and just does some fine-tuning to some of the changes. It doesn't touch all too much, it's considering how big the changes were, so I imagine we might see more later. First, we have some skins. These should already be familiar if you've seen the patch show for the mid-season update, because they were all in there already. It's all the sun and sand skins, which are really cool. The really cool Kukulkan skin as well and everything. So yeah, these are now out, and there will be more skins later with the secondary update, as far as I'm aware, like with the secondary bonus update. But then there are additional changes. So this is just the cycle here. So here you can see on July 27th now we had the first bonus update with the first part of the changes being implemented. And on August the 10th will be the second part of the bonus update, which will be in combination with or will be announced with the show on August 4th. So we're getting a patch show relatively soon. And then afterwards, the bonus update will drop as normal. And then we're going back to the regular patch cycle as far as I'm aware. So what do we get? The first one is for Manikin Hidden Blade. They actually call it Manikin's Hidden Blade. Yeah, I think it's Manikin Hidden Blade. But well, Manikin Hidden Blade was double dipping on providing magical basic attack power as well as raw magical power, allowing guards with a magical basic attack to hit harder than intended. So basically what happened was when they removed the basic attack damage from the item, they didn't remove the magic basic attack damage from the item and put the power on top of it, which means a guy like Ao Kwang, for example, got a ridiculous amount of damage out of this because used the basic attack, the bonus basic attack that was still there from the magical damage, and used the power of it. Obviously, not too many guards that use that all too well, unless you were aware of it, obviously. So yeah, that information fortunately was kept pretty on the down low. I was aware about it, but didn't want to talk about it either for the same reason, because it was pretty abusable, and that is now fixed. Secondary, Manikin Hidden Blade also has another bug. Manikin Hidden Blade also currently notes that it does a missing health damage, but since its launch has been dealing max health damage. Its overall balance state feels roughly appropriate, so we are keeping this as intended and will be updating the text in the full 8.8 release. This is very cool because this is what I suggested. I was talking to Flareboot about this in context of the other bug, and I was saying I think if this actually scaled with current health, this item would be pretty bad in quite a few situations, because it's so easy to unproc it from someone as well by just damaging them. So it actually dealing max health damage, in my opinion, always felt appropriate. There are some other changes to that item that I'd like to see in general, like maybe increase the cooldown. That was Flareboot's suggestion, increase the cooldown from 4 to 6 seconds. And I said in return, it should not be removed by minions, because it can't even proc on minions. So it's a little bit less inconsistent, but then can't like be abused by guards and can proc it multiple times in a fight. I think that will make it more balanced overall. But I guess this is a bug fix step 1, and they can do more with it later. And I think that's a good bug fix, and I think that's a good clarification of the rule for it as well. So I think there's a good change. Berserker's Shield fixed an issue where this item was not providing the intended stats. Buy Berserker's Shield now. It was pretty solid as an item beforehand on some guards already, with the other item changes that came in, and the way you were able to pick it up earlier and everything. But now I think this is an extremely strong item that many basic attack, well, both warriors and junglers really can make great use of, assassins and warriors. Again, it's not available for hunters anymore, and that's why they made these changes. So now it actually works as intended, and it's gonna feel a whole lot better, and that's gonna be scary, because basic attack guards are already on the rise, even in the Pro League. We saw Osiris, we saw Erlang Shen a lot. I was predicting this was something that would likely happen. That has happened, and now they're getting Berserker Shield. So we might maybe see a nerf to Berserker Shield in the future, but for now it actually is working as intended. And then Meditation Cloak fixed an issue where this item was not using the intended cooldown. I wasn't aware of that one. So the bug fixes are one part, but then there are also changes. First one is to Sunderin Spear. The rework to Sunderin Spear has definitely left a powerful impression. Our overall goal is to bring this relic some consistency has been met, and being able to consistently chunk your opponents while marking them for increased damage has been too potent. We are reducing the damage Sunderin Spear provides to encourage players to follow up on the damage amp to get the most out of it. So the increased damage, not the increased damage amp, that part stays the same. The damage to the target's current health on Sunderin Spear is going down from 10 to 7.5. This is a bit confusing because I think they had something about 7.5 mentioned before. Whatever, either way, that's for the normal form. And then for the upgrade form, the target's current health damage is going down from 15 to 12.5. Now, what I think might happen in the future is that they're going to do something about shooting it twice on the same target. Because I imagine they could do something like, I think it's Soul Reaver that has it at the moment, where if you proc it twice on the same target, it deals like half damage. Then you could still have it more available. You wouldn't feel as bad about like maybe wasting one shot occasionally, because you still have 2 shots, but it takes away this like double burst that it's currently being used for a fair bit from what I've seen. And yeah, I think that would really lessen the impact of it and the popularity of it primarily. I will see if these changes alone really do that much. I think they will have an impact, but I don't know if they're enough to really get away from the Sunder meta. I initially thought that the original nerfs from PTS would already be enough, but that was clearly not the case. And then Bluestone Pendant. Bluestone Pendant is receiving a nerf. We previously held off nerfing the starter working and to instead bring other options up in power to better compete with this choice. This allowed allowed us to create a healthier set of starter options, with Bluestone seeing contention from the likes of Hunter's Cowl and Warrior's Axe. Even still, it has continued to overperform them slightly, and we feel now is the time to bring Bluestone down a peg rather than continue to bring up other starters, which could potentially make them too potent. This is interesting because what we're primarily seeing in solo is still Fighter's Mask, not Bluestone Pendant. And what we're primarily seeing in carry at the moment is also not Bluestone. We see it on select ability-based carries. We see it on Chiron. We see it on Ullr. But we're primarily seeing Leather Cowl right now. So it's interesting that they're still choosing to nerf Bluestone Pendant at this point. They're decreasing the power from 15 to 12, which is obviously not a massive nerf, but still a surprising choice. It's like a half revert of a buff they did to it. And we're actually seeing other starters. We're seeing Vamshot in solo as well. We're seeing Warriors X in solo a lot as well. We've even seen the Tainted Amulet stuff being built, even in the SPL. So I'm really surprised. I mean, I guess they just have to buff Warding Sigil and that'd be fine. But I'm really surprised that Bluestone is considered still like too strong. But at the same time, it's not a massive nerf. So I don't know. But this one threw me off a little bit because I actually thought we are getting to a place where Bluestone is kind of still being used, but not overused. And that's the goal, right? And the updates, the upgrades are also interesting now. They're also worth choosing. So yeah, really surprised there. Then we have Benevolence. Support players currently feel like their starter choice has been solved, with nearly all competitive supports playing Benevolence no matter what situation. While we have worked towards bringing other starters up in a similar approach to Bluestone, its overall efficiency is still too much. We feel both Sentinel's Gift and Warflag are in a better spot to support the support role, so we feel comfortable reducing this item's efficiency. We're lowering the XP per 5 per level to slow down how much free XP this item provides. The math of this is this roughly works out to a support players being half to slightly more than half a level lower than they would have otherwise been by level 17. What a sentence. Anyways, decrease the XP per 5 per level from 0.5 to 0.3 roughly takes you down half of a level lower in the late. Okay, even this one is weirdly worded. Roughly takes you down half of a level lower in the late game, 15 to 19 range. So they're basically saying you'd be level 19 instead of 20, is what I'm assuming. 18 instead of 19. I think this buff is warranted. I think Benevolence is too strong. I don't know if XP 5 is the only thing that needs to be looked at there. But I also don't agree with the notion that the other starters are already balanced. I think Watchers, yeah. Or like Sentinels, yeah. But Warflag Wolflake's still super weird, and I don't know why they don't. I know the XP gain from that is super strange, and like the gold gain from that is super strange. Not the XP gain, sorry. And it's really off that a aggression starter relies so much on the wave as well. I think that was always a bit of a problem with it. So yeah, I don't know. I think Benevolence nerfs are good, but I also think Wolflake at least needs more buffs, and Sentinels maybe, I don't know, like a tiny bit. And then we have Fighter's Mask. Fighter's Mask has been a unique start in solo, resulting in some aggression. We like the strategy, but want to tone it down a notch, knocking from power of the strategy, so it feels more closely comparable to Warrior's X and Bluestone Pendant. Decrease the physical power from 40 to 35, and magical power from 70 to 65. So this goes hand in hand with the Bluestone nerf, I guess, in a way. And I guess they're assuming that everyone would just be going back to Bluestone otherwise. But I don't think that would have been the case. I think a lot of players are already running a Fighter's Mask and Warrior's X as a combo. So I don't see why that wouldn't happen. I think the result of this may be, between Fighter's Mask and Bluestone, is that we see a lot more passive solo builds, a lot more defensive solo builds. Again, Vamp Shroud, Guardians are really popular. And then you could, run Warrior's X, or even you're probably not going to run Warding Sigil, but like Warrior's X or Anti-Heal, Tainted Amulet on the other side with a defense choice along with that. I think can't afford that with Tainted Amulet, but you can afford it with Warrior's X. So yeah, you just have like a very tanky solos from the start of the game. So I don't know if this approach is really the only way to go about this. But it's a bit surprising to me still, because again, Warrior's X is being built a fair bit. So I don't think I think there's a risk of Warrior's X especially becoming a bit overwhelming with this, but we'll find out. Morgan Le Fay, Sigil Mastery. Okay, that's a little bit of a nerf. Magical power scaling decreased from 55% to 50% on the inner area. That's the higher damage one, and from 35 to 30 on the outer area. So there's a problem with Morgan Le Fay, and that is that she's always banned. Like, I have been waiting to look in the statistics for Morgan Le Fay for ages, but you can't even look into the statistics because she's just banned constantly. She doesn't even perform necessarily well when she's not banned in ranked, depending on the level of play you look at individually. But the perception is that she's super, super strong, and she's always top ban, and therefore we don't really know where she ends up, and she's getting nerfs now. It's the second nerf. She had the nerf to the cooldown before. The cooldown nerf was definitely one that I think was very necessary. This one I don't even know. Yeah, I can't even say, because there's no real information to work with here. I guess the internal data indicates that she's a little bit too good in casuals, where she's not banned all the time, I suppose. So yeah, fair enough. Just a little bit of it's a small nerf anyways, like 5% scaling on each. It's not a big deal for her. It's not going to ruin her, I'm sure, but yeah, it's a bit odd. And then we have Gilgamesh, Sunforged Scimitar. Decreased physical power scaling on the initial AoE hit from 60 to 50%. Yeah, but what to say? Gilgamesh still doing really well, still needing nerfs. Casket closed. No, he's still gonna be good even after all this. He keeps getting nerfs, and he's still gonna be good until eventually, he's gonna hit this brick wall where I think he's gonna drop off a fair bit, because the perception is also gonna be different. But yeah, it's still a very effective ability. It's still AoE, short cooldown, good damage. Yeah, no problem there really. And then we have Soul. This one is probably the least surprising nerf of all. Stellar Burst Revert. Decrease the magical power scaling from 40% to 35% per hit, 80% to 70% in total. She has received a variety of different changes. So there's also the difference in delay and stuff like that. So I don't think this is just going to be Soul is back to her old self, but rather some things about Soul are a little bit closer to how they were. I think especially with the item changes that we had and everything else that affects her in one way or another, this will still allow her to be a strong god, at least. I don't think that's going to take her away from the relatively high win rates that she has at the moment, because she is performing extremely well. She's one of the best guards in ranked, or the best guard in ranked, and I think, very effective and competitive as well, very valued and competitive as well. So yeah, I think this is a warranted change, and overall, I would say this patch comes with a lot of good changes. And then I don't know what will happen with solo. And I'm really, really curious. Like, that's not saying that's a bad change. I'm really, really curious what will happen with Morgan Le Fay in the long run. If we actually get any data on her, if we actually get to see how she performs at some point in the future when she's not always banned. I'd love to see if her stats actually add up to the impression that people have, or if, well, no, we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, with that, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you for the next one soon. I'm going to be grinding New World still for the next days, and I'll talk about that soon. Yeah. Thanks for now. If you're new to the channel, hit the sub button, maybe the bell, so you get notified of other upcoming videos. ZiSotto, out.